everybody? Chris Shipley Pest Solutions. Mid-November here. About a week after the election. Wet out. Just got back. Did a little bit of flea work today. Did a roach follow-up in a commercial building. And then just did a generic interior for some spiders and ants for a regular customer of ours. And they were seeing some spiders. So just did a traditional interior baseboard type treatment for them. But really, a week post the election here, I really wanted to discuss not necessarily a postmortem, and this is not a political channel by any means. I really focus on service business and specifically pest control. But a week out of the election, with President Trump being the nominee, and kind of the general sentiment that I'm hearing, experiencing, just kind of my logical take as just a guy that kills bugs, owns a business, has done this for nearly 2 decades, and has been in tens of thousands of households. And when I am in the households of people, that's an intimate setting. And a lot of people, they open up. We have these discussions. And I think I have kind of a unique outlook on a lot of things. This isn't a discussion in the supermarket. I'm treating a house or answering people's questions or dealing with something. And then we start talking about, they'll just mention, so to back up a little bit, the generic sentiment over the last couple of years has been the policies that were in place of the current administration were not essentially friendly to Main Street, if you will. Wall Street winning, stock market all-time highs, rich people getting richer, class divide, alligator mouth widens, this class division was going on. And so the general sentiment in our service area, which is, again, I'm in Warsaw, Indiana. We are the medical device capital of the world. So we have DePuy, we have Biomet Zimmer, we have a lot of these medical device companies. Again, we're colloquially known as the medical device manufacturer of the world. So that's where I'm at. You go 30 minutes north, and then that is the RV capital of the world. That's Elkhart County in Indiana. So that's going to be Lippert, Forest River, Brinkley. There's going to be where all of those RVs, for the most part, are manufactured from ground up. Engineered, manufactured, get towed from. That's where they're all created. So I have kind of a large swath of people that I can kind of pull from my anecdotal data set, if you will. So the Main Street people, the general blue-collar laborers, the growing sentiment specifically all through 2024 has been this economy is grinding to a halt. The RV companies are laying off. The medical device companies are laying off and or firing. They're reshoring manufacturing jobs offshore, going to Costa Rica, down south, even South America. And this is not a healthy environment for manufacturing, for business owners to be able to pay the wages that maybe the labor unions in the medical device thing were kind of wanting. And so they were reshoring, offshoring labor. And then in the RV industry, the amount of RVs needed or wanted on the open market has just fallen off a cliff because people's extra money that they have to go spend has fallen off a cliff. And so this has led to a feeling on Main Street, and the blue collar people, the average people that I talk to, we're talking households of $100,000 or so, give or take. Our cost of living here in Northern Indiana is relatively low. It's one of the best places to live regarding cost of living. And again, just my ear to the ground, talking with people in my 6, 8, 10, 15 daily interactions with people, the sentiment has been that if the Democrats had won, the outlook was very bleak for a lot of people. The manufacturing and the RV industries, it was very bleak. A lot of those people were 30 hours a week. They're working 3 days a week, 4 days a week type thing. It was not looking good for them. And then the business startup sentiment was not very good. We were at 7-8% interest rates. The risk to start a business was not very good. Why would you risk $50,000 or $100,000 when you're going and getting a truck, and then all the startup capital needed to put equipment, all these things, advertising, everything you need to start a business, whether it's lawn mowing or anything, when you can just go to your bank and you can get 5 or 5.5% guaranteed interest down at your local bank. Why would you risk 50 grand to turn it into zero or turn it into dust when you can just go get a guaranteed 5%? And so the environment was not good. The outlook was not good. But then you talk to the sort of Wall Street side of, these $250,000 or up households, and their general sentiment was everything's fine. I don't understand what people are upset about. And it was because their discretionary income, they didn't really feel it as much. Wall Street, we've got 30% returns on Wall Street this year. I mean, everything's fine. I don't know what other people are talking about. The sky's not falling for me. My 401k went up 30%. And so you have this sort of class separation that I was seeing happen in real time over the last couple years, really this year in 2024. And again, this is not a political channel, but regardless of who won, whether it was Kamala or Trump, Wall Street was going to be fine. The people that have the money are going to be fine, regardless of who won. And so what I have seen now, a week out, is a renewed sense of optimism now that President Trump is elect President Trump. And there's a giddiness with people compared to the bleakness that I was seeing on the other side that if Kamala would have won. And I think that means a lot for service-based businesses. I think that means a lot for just the average worker, average American worker, the average blue-collar American worker that's going to make $16 to $25 an hour. That renewed sense of optimism, you can critique policies, you can critique Trump's cabinet, you can critique all these, the tariffs, no tariffs, all that. That's fine. It is hard to account for optimism. It's very hard to account for that because to me, that's the real American spirit. The American spirit of, I'm going to start a business, put my name on the truck, and I'm going to grind through blood, sweat, tears, and I'm going to make it work. That's the beauty of America to me. And I think a lot of Americans share that sentiment with me. And I think it's hard to quantify that optimism. And that's sort of this groundswell I'm seeing now as I've been talking to people for the last week. A couple other things I think are going to happen now with a President Trump administration here is with that renewed sense of optimism, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see a renewed sense of entrepreneurship. It might not happen initially because what we're seeing right now is the interest rates have ticked down a little bit, and it looks like the Fed may lower interest rates again for the next couple consecutive quarters. The quick look at that is, oh, that's great for consumers. But what I think is going to happen is, because again, I deal in the rental side, the property side as well, commercial side as well. And so the general sentiment that I'm getting from people that have the money and are ready to spend now, because they were kind of holding, they didn't know where this economy was going to go. They were kind of holding almost in fear if Kamala becomes president. They don't know where this economy is going. But now that President Trump is going to come in, now they're kind of ready to just spend. And so what I think is going to happen in this sort of deflationary environment as we come down from 7, 6, maybe get to 5.5 or 6 next year, the rich people or the people that have money are just going to buy more stuff. That's what's going to happen. And so this isn't going to necessarily help the people that don't have money or these first-time home buyers. I don't think this is initially going to help them, but I also don't know how we get out of this sort of downward spiral of inflationary, deflationary economics over the course of the next year or two. I think we've got some short-term pain, short-term meaning a couple years, where if we just rip the Band-Aid off and the incoming administration does what it thinks it needs to sort of long-term get this economy back on track, I think we just have to bite that bullet. I am inspired, however, though, that while we might have some short-term pain, we might initially see an uptick of the landlords, the people that have the money. Hey, now they can get money cheap. Money's 5.5%. I'm going to go buy these buildings again. I'm going to buy more commercial real estate because I have the money. I've maintained the money. I'm just going to go get more money because money is cheap. And that's what I will see continue to happen. But I also think, and this is per studies that anyone can read, but it appears as though Gen Z is skewing, well, when it comes to males, so 18 to 24, I've seen numerous polls now that have shown that Generation Z males, 18 to 24, are skewing hard conservative, like 70, 75% conservative. And so That doesn't mean they're necessarily Bible beaters or they're alt-right Christians. No, what I think is happening is that when I think of Generation Z skewing conservative, I think eventually, maybe not in this initial year or two, but I think year 3, year 4, year 5, even out towards the end of a Trump term, I think we're going to see a new surge of entrepreneurs. I think these Generation Z people, the males, they're going to get 18, 20, 24. They're going to get to 24, 25, 26, and they're going to go, you know what? I'm ready to start my own lawn mowing business. I'm ready to start my own landscaping, my own pest control. Like, I'm ready to take this leap because I've worked and worked and worked, and I want to be my own owner. I want to be my own boss. You're seeing that skew heavy with a lot of these people that have gig jobs right now, that they're working 2 20-hour-a-week jobs because they don't necessarily believe in one business or the other to make it a career. Or I think I'll be here 10 or 15 years. And so they don't jump in with both feet. And so, again, my general on-the-ground sentiment from talking to everyday people is that Trump winning will be an economic boost for Main Street. Wall Street's going to win regardless. But the Main Street people that I interact with day in, day out, average $100,000 to $150,000 household income, which is what I predominantly interact with in my areas, they're happy. They're optimistic. They're ready to win again, if you will. And so, again, just a week out, it looks good. You know, I'm looking at things, and even me personally, I'm very optimistic about this. Things were looking bleak. I mean, I've had businesses close down over the last year or two. Some of this is sort of still post-COVID fallout, where people basically survived on COVID money. They misappropriated it, or they didn't. They never really got back on their feet. People wanted to work remote. They couldn't get people back in the office, so maybe people weren't as productive, or maybe they just didn't evolve over the last 2 to 3 years, where maybe people do want to work remote, but they can't figure out the balance of making those people accountable. Or the other thing I've talked about before, which is if you worked for a company pre-COVID, 2019, 2020, and you were making 17, 18 bucks an hour, you basically got priced in at your job because then inflation increased. And so now you may have gotten a raise along the way, and let's just say you were making 20 bucks an hour. But if you go get a job in 2024 doing the same thing, you should probably be making 24, 25 an hour, but you're getting paid 20 bucks an hour. But inflation increased, and so you don't want to risk going to your boss going, hey, like, I need a $3 or $4 an hour increase because I can go work over here, and this is what they're going to start me at and pay me based on my level of expertise and experience. But that job can't give you the pay raise because the job hasn't increased their price of goods on the market because their supply chain, they haven't, most of these bigger companies, you get beyond 50, 100 employees, these companies turn slowly. They make quarterly decisions. They make annual decisions on pricing and how they're going to price things and purchase things and signing contracts. And we're at the end of the year and they're starting to do that. They're looking at advertising budgets. They're looking at purchasing. And so I think that's kind of in effect as well. And what I think we're going to see here is we're going to see a whipsaw effect where kind of inflation's kind of risen, stagnation in wages hasn't kept up with inflation. And what I think is going to happen is these businesses that are going to be effective or successful over the next 1, 2, 5 years, they're going to have a choice where you need to just pay your employees more, raise your prices of the good or service or whatever you're doing, whatever widget you make. And if you don't, the market's going to eat you. The market will pass you by. And I think it starts with employee wages. And so I've made a decision to increase my employee wages significantly moving into next year and moving forward. But in order to do so, I have to raise our service prices, of which the vast majority of our customers have already been informed. And universally, they all go, okay, we get it. You're right. That case of Mountain Dew is double what it was to 2020. My KFC, my Taco Bell, my McDonald's, all these prices, they're all double. We go out to eat. It's no longer 30 or 40 bucks for a family of 4. It's 80 bucks to go out to eat now. We get it. And so, this isn't a hobby. This is a profession. And so I think, people always kind of argue it's chicken or the egg. And when I think of MAGA, when I think of what, as a 41-year-old business owner with young children, continuing to want to run and operate a business and grow a business, when I think of MAGA, I think that means reshoring American manufacturing. That means let's build these businesses here. Let's reshore manufacturing. Oh, but Chris, they'll never pay $40 for a t-shirt. They'll never pay $35 for a t-shirt. They want those cheap Chinese slave labor goods. Do we really? I don't think the market does. Every single city now has a Saturday farmers market where people bring their goods from their farm that they're making, their honey, they're making, the yarn stuffed animals, they're making signs to hang on your door. And the foot traffic is busy. I think Americans want American-made goods. I think the time for slave manufactured goods in far-off nations that don't treat us as equals when we want to play in the marketplace and they want to steal our IP and they want to steal our goods. Also, they can undercut and then put cheap goods on Walmart shelves. I think the appetite for that in America, I think it's passing. And so myself, I know many other business owners have basically said, you know what, we're going to raise our wages. We're going to pay our employees well. We're going to help with MAGA. We're going to help with this making America great again so that we can build companies, we can build corporations, we can build these factories to where maybe Timmy coming out at 18, we're not going to cram college down his throat and we're going to say, Timmy, it's okay. If you want to be a welder, here's your technical certificate. You can work for a year or two while you're learning. You'll start out at 18, 20 bucks an hour. Then when you become a certified welder, now you're making 30 bucks an hour. You're making 35 bucks an hour for this company over here. And telling people that that's okay. That's the American dream. Everyone always likes to opine about, my grandfather, he worked for Ford Motor Company and he worked for 25 years and he retired with full benefits and he got all this and he worked his butt off. And I think it's possible again. And I think that's the only way America survives moving forward. I think we have to reshore manufacturing, reshore labor that comes with companies like myself. I'm a small company. There's 4 of us. Raising my wages, raising my prices and cost of my service to the open market and going from there. And the market will decide. The free market will decide. And so, again, a week out, general sentiment, optimism. Everybody's like, let's go. We're ready. And so whether you like President Trump or not, I think that is very inspiring. You can talk about how much you hate him. That's fine. You could talk about how much his administration is a bunch of lackeys. He's just picking his buddies. Okay, that's fine. But I think overall, it appears as though America is ready to win again. And it appears as though America was very stagnant, stale, and was kind of just starting to do this and fall off a cliff. And so I'm here. I'm on board for a sense of renewed optimism. I'm on board for a sense of, let's take control again. Let's make America great again. Okay? Let's be the America that got us here, that our parents raised us on. Me, meaning I grew up in the 90s. I've said this to many, many people. I think what is on the horizon right now is another decade very, very similar to the 1990s, which saw exponential growth as technology helped grow and make workplace, it revolutionized workplace efficiencies. And that's what I think we're going to have happen if we can reshore American manufacturing and labor, integrate that with technology. AI is a black box. It's a Pandora's box for sure. But I'm hoping that we can take AI and integrate it into a lot of jobs to help make things more efficient. We can train people. I really believe in us. And so overall, that's my general sentiment I'm getting from people on the street. Again, I'm just a man that kills bugs. Been in 20,000 plus households, talked to a lot of people. And I'm here in the Midwest, the flyover states. But that is my general sentiment that I'm hearing on the ground, talking to people day to day, is that they have a renewed sense of optimism, the sort of American pride again, and they're believing in America, and they want everybody to win. They don't just want white people. Everybody wants to win, and everybody wants to help everybody win. And when everybody helps everybody win, we all win. America wins, because we're the greatest nation on the face of this earth, and I feel that renewed sense of optimism again. And so I hope everyone else shares that opinion. If not, let me know. I'm happy to agree, disagree. I'm not a genius. Again, I'm a guy that kills bugs. So thanks again. Like, subscribe. Appreciate you all. Have a good day.